Let's see if we are fully, properly live. One moment. Yes, okay. It is Friday, October 10th, 2025 at 5:04 p.m. Central Daylight Time. And, sorry, I just noticed a little icon on my interface here. I'm not sure what that is. Um, anyway, here we are in Fallout 76. We're going to check out Mischief Night, which should be going on right now. And then along with that, we'll just talk about upcoming videos and things like that. So, also I need to drop a whole lot of crap here. And I'm trying to zoom in on my character. There we go. I kept pressing V and it wasn't doing anything. So I thought maybe I gotta use the scroll wheel, and that wasn't doing anything either. So I was pulling up the hot menu. Sorry, real quick here. I'm just gonna see if I can. All right, that's right. I was gonna put up a camp or put up a tent and see if I could drop some of this crap that I'm carrying. I've started doing the research on Gleaming Depths, which is why my character's here. I'm definitely going to have to take up an offer I've had from a couple of people on some help, because there is no way to do that thing solo. Even with two computers, it's something where you've got to basically constantly have at least two people playing, because, just for an example, the opening fight is against this giant robot, where if you're shooting at it, if it's looking at you, there's no way to get around and shoot at its back to disable it, so you got to have at least one other person there to shoot at its back. Then the second fight, you're trying to refuel a drill while a bunch of mole miners and their little mine-covered mole rats are running up trying to blow up the drill. So you gotta have at least one person staying behind to guard the drill while the other guy goes off to get the fuel. So yeah, definitely going to need more than one person to do all this stuff. Let me see if I can transfer unused. That didn't help at all. Just gonna drop some weapons or something. I am already over encumbered in my inventory in the stash. Okay, sorry about this. If I'd noticed this more than 5 minutes beforehand, I would have taken some time to remove some stuff. I'm willing to bet you this is an item that a lot of people would want. I know bloodied is a very, or at least very used to be, very common playstyle. Again, this reminds me, I am now a G Fuel affiliate. So if you want some G Fuel, you can use my code iCartographer and you get a discount at checkout, and it's a way to support the channel. But let's get back into this. Oh, one more thing actually I should mention on that. Still got to nail down the details 100%, make sure everything's moving forward on it, but if it is all moving forward, then on October 23rd, Fallout Day, I'm going to do a 3-hour stream, and in the process I'm going to give away a couple of, or three, I don't remember exactly how many it is, some tubs of their flavor for Nuka-Cola. So if you're interested, I'm going to create a, what's it called, a channel? Yeah, a channel on the Discord where you can put your name forward to be entered into basically the giveaway there. So, and then I'll use a random number generator to pick the winners there. So I'll create that channel by the end of today. Okay, let's get back into this. I need to drop some stuff. Sorry, again, I really should have taken care of this beforehand, but don't want that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Of course, most of the stuff I'm dropping is incredibly light, but some of these things I don't want to drop because they're unique. Or because I've used them a lot. I can't remember if this... I don't think this is one that I've used. Only a few more pounds and I should be good to go. I'd love to drop this thing, but it feels like it's worth too much. Of course, this is on my private world, but that's a lot of ammunition. Obviously, it's what I have in my inventory. It's not tied to the gun itself. But just simply and I don't need actually all that much ammunition. And plus, this is a world where I do so much damage and take so little damage. I don't need to. In fact, I take so little damage that would never be useful because I don't ever have health low enough to have bloody to have an effect. Okay, so let's talk about some other things, other upcoming videos. So again, Gleaming Depths. I said earlier I was working on that. The other one that won the poll was the Blue Ridge Caravan Company. That came in second, but I might. Hey, Daddy Dante, welcome to the stream. Appreciate it. Hope you're having a good week. Oh, geez. Sorry, my cat's sitting in my lap and she just sneezed on me. um, so I think, is there a, I was assuming there'd be, let's see if there's like a quest for it or something. No, daily event maybe? Ooh, look at that. I don't think that's right. Oh, that's a quick note, actually. I'm going to have to do some recording over the next couple of weeks, basically beforehand for the Blue Ridge Caravan Company, because my understanding is that the milepost to zero stuff is going away. That's going to be removed from Fallout 76. I think it was so unpopular that they don't even want to put in the effort to work on it. So effectively, my understanding is they're moving the characters to Ohio and completely shutting down milepost zero. I think that's a word that's come out of the PTS. So I'm going to definitely do recordings of all the milepost zero content, not only because I'm doing a video on the Blue Ridge Caravan Company, but because, again, it's content that's going to be leaving the game. So definitely going to be getting that. What else? So, seriously, where is... Maybe you have to go to a train station to get the Mischief Night stuff? I don't know. I got a dog at my feet and a cat in my lap. Oh yeah, other videos though. So, as part of becoming an affiliate with G Fuel, they've convinced me to create a TikTok and Instagram account. And so I'm going to put together some content for that stuff. And as part of that, so basically what I'm going to be doing is creating shorts as advertisements for the longer videos. Basically try to draw more people to the properly full-length videos. But as part of that, basically what I'm doing is I'm going back through my oldest videos, and I'm basically going to remake them because the quality is a little low, and then along with that I'm going to be creating shorts at the same time. So basically what I'll do is, on the same day I release the full video on YouTube, I will go ahead and release the shorts on TikTok, and I guess on YouTube as well. No mention of Mischief Night here. I know it was in the Atomic Shop on the... where is it? Atomic Shop... And... Oh, no, it was just in the news in the main menu. That's right, it had nothing to do with that. Challenges, maybe? Yeah, no, I know. I didn't want to do it, but at the same time, if it does help grow the channel, then I'm willing to go ahead and make some... again, the whole thing with it is, too, is effectively, if I'm writing the full script anyway, I can cut out little chunks of it, make short videos out of the full video. Again, it's not going to actually add that much work, and hopefully it will serve as an advertisement of the channel. I will note as well that the very first thing I saw upon opening up, basically, I just did a search for Fallout in TikTok, and I immediately saw somebody using my footage from my Vault 51 video. And it's immediately recognizable because there aren't that many people that film like I do, and because the shots were in the same sequence that I filmed them. So it was... it's like, great, dealing with this again. My understanding, too, is that TikTok is also incredibly poor about dealing with people stealing content, so... And the thing that frustrates me, too, is it's not that difficult to go in and just film the content. It just, again, it's just a question of taking the time to do it. Again, I heard Mischief Night stuff was taking place in Skyline Valley. Maybe I misunderstood what people were saying there. It's weird that there's no mention of it anywhere. It started on the 7th, I know that. Let's take a look at the map again, see if there's anything I'm missing. I'm pretty sure in the past it used to take place... In fact, I think it like was only the first year. I don't even remember Mischief Night being around all that much. I think that they cut the event for a while. I don't know. I'll look it up real quick. We'll find out where it is and we'll go check it out. Sorry about this. I thought it would be an immediate thing upon launch. I haven't played the 76 in a couple days because I've been working on other stuff. Those that have the text up. Yeah. Oh, that is my least. Okay, no, that's not my least favorite. My least favorite thing is when someone takes somebody else's video and reacts to it on the video, where they're just pointing at it and like the video's playing above them. It's like, what is it that you're adding here? How is this anything? Like, what's happening here? Oh, it looks like it was around last year. I guess I just didn't see it then. One second here. Sorry. Okay, Rapidan Camp. Okay. Or the ones where they're just, like, again, it's the one person that has put themselves on somebody else's video, and they're just laughing at points. It's like, is this just a visual laugh track? Like, are you showing me where I should be laughing at this content? What's happening here? Alright, let's see here. Got some sort of bonfire. Pumpkins. This is a pretty prime location for a for a Halloween-themed event. We're pretty close under this storm here. I got some jack-lanterns. I have an old Instagram account, but I never post anything. I only ever use it to find pictures of my nieces and nephews that my brother and sister post. Let's see, those documents have been there, so let's check this out. Oh, you know what? It's probably actually an event, so I have to wait for it to pop up. And unfortunately, having started this stream at 5:04, my bet is I have to wait at least, well, I would have thought till 5:15. We'll see what happens at 5:20, maybe 5:30. In the meantime, we can just kind of look around at some other stuff. But so specifically the videos that I'm currently in the process of remaking, and again making shorts content on, is my video on Eastern Regional Penitentiary, which is from 2020, actually. So it's been 5 years since I actually covered Eastern Regional Penitentiary. Now, nothing has really changed at Eastern Regional Penitentiary in that time. But, again, the way I do videos has evolved over time, and I'm hoping my writing quality has improved in those 5 years. So, and I will definitely say that in going over my script, I definitely rambled a bit here and there. But yeah, I've restructured the video to put the real-world content at the end.
I got another patrol ready to make the rounds. All guards are urgently needed in my office.
So yeah, going to be recovering Eastern Regional Penitentiary, which is one of the most disturbing locations in Appalachia because of what they were doing here. Automating the prison, getting rid of all humans involved in the process except for the prisoners, to where they just put explosive collars on the neck of literally any prisoner, no matter what their crime was. There's even a story in it, and this will form the core of one of the like little advertisement shorts that I put out for the video. They put an explosive collar on a man who was in prison for unpaid parking tickets, and because there were basically 3 ways the collars could be set off. If you tried to escape the prison. Hey, ADHD Queen, welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a good week. There are 3 ways you could set off the collars. The warden could set them off if you basically were roughhousing or doing something like that. If you tried to escape, they would be set off. And if you were to go ahead and try to take them off, if you were to try to tamper with the collars, that would also cause them to go off. Well, this man who was in prison for speeding tickets thought his collar was too tight, so he tried adjusting it, and it exploded. Blew his head off. Again, he was in prison for literally parking tickets. That's what happens when you automate a prison. But you don't have the right tools for it, so you use explosive collars to basically fill the gaps. So, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I did a lot of writing growing up, specifically because like I had a lot of edited writing as well. My mom was very, very involved in that area. She always made sure that all of our papers were edited for proper grammar, spelling. Let's structure, all that kind of stuff. So I've had that kind of carry on into my adulthood, to where, like, back when I was in college, I would be the person who would actually write up the reports and stuff like that for the group. So, but again, just going over what I had from 5 years ago, I already rewrote it, and I believe it to be significantly better. So, but again, I do appreciate that. But yeah, okay. So again, Eastern Regional Penitentiary. 4 events taking place here, all of them related to the prison and the automation. Specifically, right now, we have patrol duty, where we're supposed to go in and talk to the robotic warden. I'm not going to do that right now. Nerd, yes, thank you. But yeah, the other ones are like prison break, manhunt, and I'm trying to remember the name of the last one. I can't remember, but whatever it is, you basically the entirety of all the events are you making up for the fact that the automated prison isn't doing its job. Now, of course, the automated prison shouldn't even still be trying to function. It's after the end of the world, and not only that, there are massive holes in the wall. But every once in a while, the former gang leader named Mad Dog Malone manages to escape the prison and has to be recovered. But at the same time, you can also repair these turrets to help you in your efforts. The manhunt you're going after to try to find Mad Dog Malone. He's usually hanging out at Grafton Dam, I believe. And then along with that... Oh, Mistaken Identity. That's the name of the last one. And then... I think patrol duty is actually going around and repairing these turrets. But I could be wrong about that. I gotta recheck that. But yeah, that's... again, everything here, we're just trying to fix the prison not working properly. I still don't understand exactly how it is that Mad Dog Malone is supposed to have become a super mutant. I suppose at some point he got captured by super mutants from Huntersville. I don't know how else it's supposed to have happened. But the fact that they keep bringing him back to the prison, even once he's become a super mutant, and the fact that he also has a gang of super mutants that come to break him out whenever he's in here, it's just funny to me. I don't think it's something that we're necessarily supposed to be taking seriously. But again, it does still showcase you as a person having to come in and fill the gaps of an automated system that is not working. So, but yeah, okay, so after that, again, I'm going to move on to other old videos. The one on Senator Sam Blackwell, the one on the Dire Chemical Massacre. And again, I'm going to rewrite the scripts. And once I basically remake the video, I'll also make some shorts out of the video to lure people in to watch the videos on the channel. And I was even thinking for a minute about going ahead and just, like, uploading most of the videos directly to TikTok regardless. Because my understanding is there's now an hour limit to a video that you can put up there. I could have been misreading that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was saying. Which is just kind of funny, because, I mean, TikTok was created for shorts. It's also just... It's such a crazy thing that, like, TikTok was definitely not the first to get into that area. At least, okay, it's not something that I've investigated seriously. It's just like going off my own memory, but Vine, I think, was effectively like the first kind of TikTok sort of situation, but I think Twitter bought that and then basically shut the whole thing down. I could be misremembering that. Maybe YouTube bought it and shut it down. Regardless, somebody bought it and shut it down, and then you got TikTok out of it. Yeah, Periscope. That's definitely what I was also thinking about with Twitter being something they bought up and then shut down. But anyway, all right. So yeah, again, Eastern Regional Penitentiary. Let's see, we got maybe 7 more minutes to 7 more minutes to the bottom of the hour, and hopefully Mischief Night, the event, will start. I don't know if that's something you can even do as an individual. We'll find out. This is the cat in my lap right here, Lucy. She's fairly heavy. All right, let's see. Where are we going? Guess we could check out the Dire Chemical Company. Again, just talked about that a little bit. I don't know exactly when they're planning to actually do the Burning Springs update. It could well be that it's Fallout Day that they release it. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. I'm also, like, and this is, I think, not impossible, but improbable, but my sincere hope is that what'll happen on Fallout Day is that they'll announce the shadow drop of Fallout 3 Remake. Like, that would be absolutely incredible. Again, I don't think it's probable, but it does seem possible. Again, I don't think they're using the same studio to do that as they did the Oblivion remake, which, you know, it's a couple of things there. I mean, to consider is that, like, first of all, they did a great job with the Oblivion remake. I know that there are people out there that have had what's it called, where it hasn't worked very well for them, optimization issues, but it's one of those things where I thought they said December. Did they? Because is that for the release of the Burning Springs update? That's what I had originally thought I read, but I feel like I've seen people suggesting that they might release it early. So I don't know. We'll see. It would make sense for it to be December, especially with the Ghoul being in it, and that being the release for the second season of the Fallout TV show. Is there a rad roach in here? I heard a rad roach, but I didn't know where it was. And if it was in the water, there's no way I'd be able to see it. Alright, so Dire Chemical, site of the Dire Chemical Massacre. I can't remember if that's just what I call it, or if it's an actual name for it. But basically, a little bit of backstory on this. Early on in the apocalypse, people didn't know what ghouls were. They started encountering feral ghouls. They immediately recognized that these used to be people. They could dig around in their pockets, find pictures of their loved ones, stuff like that. So, again, they didn't know what caused ghoulification, so it terrified them, as obviously it would. And with all the other new diseases and crazy mutant creatures and stuff like that, there was no telling exactly what it was that was causing it. So, when Daniel Whitby, a citizen of Berkeley Springs, transformed into a ghoul, they kept it secret. Well, his... I'm trying to find the right term for it. Medical care professional? I don't know. She used to be an esthetician, I believe. And basically, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. She hid Daniel Whitby and basically pretended that he had the flu while she was treating him. When they found out, they kicked him. It might actually maybe Lucy Harwick right here, I think. I can't remember if that's the case or not. Regardless, kicked him out of the city. And again, they're terrified of ghouls. Well, one of the town guards of Berkeley Springs ended up losing his entire family to feral ghouls, and he basically swore a vendetta against all ghouls. And yeah, Duncan McCann here is the one who's actually responsible for the massacre. I believe that and it's been probably 6 years now since I've actually done the research on this stuff, so I'll need to go back and check it. So I'm working off of 6-year-old memories here. I'm pretty sure what happened was that the ghouls had a society here within the Valley Galleria Mall. Basically got hunted down there and they fled, and they ended up coming up here to Dire Chemical. He followed them and ended up massacring them here within this space. So yeah, pretty terrible story there of a man so wrought with grief that he ended up killing innocent people, basically in a vendetta against people he viewed as responsible for the death of his family. So yeah, sad story, but again, one of those stories about the early wasteland when the prejudice against ghouls was very severe. Like, it's one of those things where, yeah, there's still prejudice against ghouls and the fallout of the 2080s, 2090s, 2070s, 80s, 90s, but it's nothing compared to what it was in the 2270s, 80s, and 90s. It's nothing compared to what it was in the 2070s, 80s, and 90s. I'm not sure where she's going. Anyway. Oh, there's a red roach. Dire Chemical, also interesting little story of how they were basically... they had like this little operation here where they were planning on cleaning the river of radiation. Weird little thing there. Let's see, we got one more minute. Let's see if at the bottom of the hour it'll start the event for Mischief Night. Hope y'all have been having a good week. I've been still working on my car. I finally got the parts in today that I'm hoping will be the last things I need. Well, I was. And then I realized I need to buy some zip ties because I'm trying to get the timing belt on my car and it is not cooperating.
Move it on, people! I want this.
It's one of those things where it's like by design it's not cooperating because it has to be in there so tight that it's transferring as much power as possible from the crankshaft to all the other equipment, but my god, it's annoying to try to get it on. So, anyway, we'll see. Oh! Last week I gave you all a little warning about things. Oh, your dog's birthday's Fallout Day. Well, that's nice. So, last week I warned you about, I can't remember even what. Oh, trying to buy fasteners on Amazon, I think is what it was. Well, this week I'm warning you against buying non-OEM parts. So, this isn't always the case. I'll say check the reviews on everything. So this last week I got to the point where it was time to install, and let's go to a new place so I can talk while we're doing other stuff as well. And I got no new events here, so no, nothing. Okay, well, I don't know what to tell y'all about Mischief Night. I was hoping it would start. Maybe it's a top of the hour only sort of a thing. What are some of the other topics I need to cover? Senator Sam Blackwell. Let's go to the abandoned waste dump. There it is. So, yeah, so I had to buy a belt tensioner and an idler for my timing belt. So, I go to screw in the screws, and one of the screws literally pulls 2 threads out of my engine block. Thank God it was only 2, because like most of the rest of the shaft is still there full of threads, but the bolt was basically too small and too short, and it ended up tearing threads out of the engine block. And I went to go look at the reviews, and for some reason this is like the only thing that I bought that I did not look at the reviews on it, and it had like a 2.5 to 3 star sort of thing. Yeah. And there were people there that were like, yeah, this belt tensioner worked for 2 weeks, and then it failed in the middle of driving, caused the belt to lose tension, and then because the car that this whole thing's made for, is an interference engine, it means that if the timing gets off, then it can literally just destroy the engine from the inside. So I'm just like, oh god. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, thank God it failed now and in this low level of manner, because if I had been driving around with this thing and it had destroyed my engine after 2 weeks of driving, that would have been absolutely, utterly devastating. So, but at the same time, here's the fun thing. That set of parts, the belt tensioner, timer, belt, and the bolts for the tensioner and idler, they cost me $30. Now, the OEM parts from AC Delco, which is who supplies GM, I think is an in-house supplier sort of thing, $180. So, again, OEM parts can be 6 to 8 times as much as the generic crap you can buy, but at the same time, the screws came today and they were literally the exact proper size they're supposed to be, which makes sense. Again, original equipment manufacturer, so. But if I had been driving along and it had ruined my engine, that $150 that I saved would have been literally nothing compared to the overall destruction of my car's engine. All right, Senator Sam Blackwell. We got the threat tape here from Daniel Hornwright's Fixer, which I believe it shows his name when you get the subtitles at the bottom, which is just funny, because it's like, why would a threatening tape come with the name of the man who created it? But here we go.
9 a.m.
Yeah.
Degenerative neurological
Harper
conditions.
Rosiak.
121.
This is the schedule
10:30
of Senator Blackwell's daughter.
Lab 206. Noon. Family medicine rotation. Bald Techu Free Clinic. Keeps going like that. Your daughter Judy's a busy woman, Senator. But not hard to find. You've been sticking your nose where it doesn't belong, Samuel. And now you've got This was your warning.
So, Senator Blackwell went to ground because he thought that was the Enclave coming after him, but what that actually was Daniel Hornwright, who didn't want him to basically continue his public advocacy against the Appalachian Prosperity Act, which would have made Daniel Hornwright an enormous amount of money if it had passed. Department of Ag projects have referenced this a lot lately. Hey Sam, remember I'm doing you a favor here, now you owe me, and you've seen what heights my bar tab can reach. Honestly, though, next time you should just talk to the secretary directly. He's a good guy and a smart cookie. I think you two would get along. Jody Soreset, Senate Committee on Agriculture. This is, of course, the secretary there. She's referencing is Secretary of Agriculture, Eckhart. Okay, Budding Patriots Initiative, a national nutritional initiative to prepare the next generation for nation service through enhanced nutrition. Again, I think that is potentially what that food paste program is part of in Fallout 4 within the Suffolk County Charter School. Congressional Bunker Food Preservation Initiative, pilot project to extend the shelf life of various foods being prepared for the Central Congressional Bunker. I think that a lot of this was basically just giving them like a kind of a black budget where they could just throw money at these pretend items, and they would basically go into other projects that they wanted to fund but didn't want to have be public. National Water Enhancement Initiative, developing food additives that can be deployed in local water systems to enhance well-being across citizens of the United States, done in conjunction with the Department of Defense. I am almost 100% certain that is specifically what is responsible for what happened in Huntersville. If you're not aware, the people of Huntersville suddenly got a brand new water system that managed to isolate them from the rest of the state's water supply. And it also just so happened that water supply system introduced FEV into them. Now, of course, food additives. Now, if you understand what FEV originally was supposed to be, you can see how they could pretend that this would be for the well-being of citizens of the United States, or even just go for the overall greater good idea, where it's like, well, if the United States has super soldiers, then of course that's for the benefit of all the citizens of the United States. You got to have some people sacrificed to make everybody else safer. But again, if you were also just going off of the old idea of the FEV being the PVP, the Pan Immunity Variant Project, where basically they were trying to create a vaccination against all disease, then again, you could also see well-being of the citizens across the United States. And in fact, the project was started before they started the actual... the lab was being built before they discovered the Super Soldier program. I believe that's the case. I just decided to move it into being a Super Soldier program because they were working on the crops as well within the West Tech lab. So, American Crop Protection Initiative, a broad spectrum look at the use of biological agents to eliminate crop pests. I think that is potentially something that was done in conjunction with Arctos Pharma. And the Pest Self-Eradication Initiative, determining techniques to biologically modify weevils, moles, and other pests to self-eliminate. I don't know if there's any specific project that's related to, but I wouldn't be even slightly surprised to find out that that's maybe responsible for some of the mutant beasts that we find in the wasteland. All right. We got Senator Blackwell's terminal here, and Senator Blackwell himself, having been killed by Agent Gray of the Enclave. Got back off, Sam. Department of Defense. Back off, Sam. The decision's been made. The automated silos are being built in Appalachia. We're going to get the same early warning system as everyone else. But if you breathe a word about these timing discrepancies you keep implying exist between military and civilian warning systems, I'll make sure you spend the rest of your days in jail. You're going to start a panic. You're going to start a panic, Sam. We're not discussing this again. Ranset. Hey, Vintovka. Good to see you. Hope you've been having a good week. And thank you again for becoming a member. Or was it a super... You made super chat. That's right. Sorry. Appreciate that. So then, what else we got here? Yeah, okay. Timing discrepancies are absolutely a real thing here. In my most recent video that I did on Wilson Automatoys, Mark Wilson of Wilson Automatoys, who is becoming a landmine manufacturer for the military, got an early warning from the colonel in charge of the Scythe program. So yeah, that is absolutely a thing. And again, we've seen that in multiple places across the games. In Fallout 4, for example, it's clear that the Vertibirds were already in the air by the time the warning went out in Sanctuary Hills. The soldiers were already in the neighborhood by the time it went off. And to an extent, I even slightly understand why you would do this sort of a thing. Because again, they managed to get soldiers in place to guide people into shelters. Whereas if the warning had gone off across the board, then the soldiers would have been basically stuck in their local base, probably unable to leave because the streets would have been absolutely packed with cars and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like, when you consider what those shelters were actually for, they were not for the benefit of the public. So no, it's completely wrong that they do that. Again, if it's one of those things where if circumstances had been different and if the vaults had actually been for the protection of the American people, then yeah, you could maybe see something like that. But at the end of the day, all that kind of stuff was for the preservation of the power of the political elite and the military. So yeah. Let's see. We got a safe there. I don't remember if there's anything in this. Let's take a look. But yeah, this is where Sam and Judy Blackwell lived shortly before the bombs and for a few years after, until Judy was killed by a pathogen that was going around the swamp at the time. From what Sam says, I believe that it was a bioweapon from the White Spring. But there's no real indication as to what it may have been. And the unfortunate thing is we still do not have access to the biowarfare lab at the White Spring. The area was destroyed during the uprising, and it still has yet to be fully reopened. I'm hoping at some point they do reopen it, just so we can actually get some of the lore that was going on in the background there. But Sam's terminal. Judy says I should write. Free States bunkers. Judy, I'm sorry. Some kind of bat. Judy's gone. Been a while they found me. So I'll just basically try to give you an idea of what these all are without going through all of them. Basically, he was suffering from some form of dementia. And so Judy was suggesting that he write in order to basically try to maintain his memory as best as possible. I can't remember what this one's about exactly. Let's see here. Oh, that's right. Just the locations of the other bunkers. Neeraj and Abby Singh. Emma. I'm trying to remember her last name. I cannot remember it off the top of my head. And Raleigh Clay. Then we got... yeah, that's right. He goes out and... He's has to kill a couple people because they might have been seen. And then along with that, we've got... he sees the first Scorch Beast. This is the first indication that he sees of Scorch Beasts in the world. And this is prior to the destruction of Harper's Ferry. Significantly prior to the destruction of Harper's Ferry. Because even after Judy Blackwell's gone, February 15th, 2084, again, of some sort of disease... that he says something he had seen in a memo, something T had warned him about. I still don't think we've actually seen who T is. I sincerely doubt that it's Thomas Eckhart, eventual head of the local enclave. But that does start with T as well. But yeah, basically, I think he recognized something about the disease from something they were maybe working on at the biowarfare lab at the White Spring. But regardless, again, this was 2084, and Harper's Ferry didn't fall until, if I'm not remembering incorrectly, 2086. So, yeah. Again, and this bat story is prior to that. So, been a while. Goes to Harper's Ferry. And then he eventually has to flee back here because he gets noticed in Harper's Ferry by Agent Gray. So yeah, if you missed the early parts of the stream, I'm going to reiterate a couple things real quick. Working on the Gleaming Depths video. It's going to be a little while because I got to have multiple people in order to actually record the lore. Along with that... well, thank you. Along with that, I'm working on the Blue Ridge Caravan Company video. I'm going to have to do a little bit of early work on that because they are going to eliminate, and this is something I've heard from the PTS, they're going to eliminate Milepost 0, the content where you're doing the caravans through Skyline Valley. I think it's something where it was so unpopular and so few people did it that they're not bothering to update it or fix it. They're just going to move everything to Ohio, move those characters over there, I mean. So I'm going to try to record it for posterity. But then along with that, I'm going to... and again, real quick, G Fuel affiliate. If you want to get some G Fuel for cheaper, you can use my discount code iCartographer, and you get a discount, and then I also get a little bit of money to help the channel. So, something to consider. But along with that, they are basically helping me out with I think this is going to happen. Like, haven't gotten all the details yet. Oh, that's great. I've got currently. Well, if you want to go to the Discord, we have a channel there for, I think it's called Group Lore Collection, and basically we're trying to set up a time to go do something like that. So if you want to get involved with that, you can go check that out. Okay, totally gone in the PTS. Okay. Yeah, that's what I've heard, is that it's moving to a new hub town. So yeah, I want to record that for posterity. But as part of becoming a G Fuel affiliate, they basically told me to get a Discord, a TikTok, and an Instagram account. And so I'm going to basically be remaking some of my oldest videos and going to be creating shorts out of them to basically work as advertisements to bring people in to watch the full-length videos. Like last time I said, I don't like shorts because basically I feel like it's slowly lowering people's attention span. I'm viewing it as a way to advertise longer videos. That's what I'm hoping will... that's what I'm hoping it'll be used as. I'll just say that. So that's what I'm looking forward to right now. That's what I've already started working on. I've actually already rewritten the script for my video on Eastern Regional Penitentiary, and I'm going to do it for Senator Sam Blackwell and Dire Chemical and all that kind of stuff. Again, the reason we're kind of walking around right now, again, if you missed it earlier, I was hoping to do the Mischief Night event, but it has not yet popped up. And just heading down to Rapidan Camp by ourselves, there wasn't anything going on down there, so... And we can go back and check now. So yeah, that's currently what I've got going on. Oh, hello. All right. Cat's back. I think she went to go get a drink or get something to eat. Okay. Okay, starts at the top of every hour. That was my mistake. I came in at 5:04. So we'll have to wait another 14 minutes for that to start up here. So we'll do that. In the meantime, let's see. What are some of the other older videos that I need to still remake? Clarksburg. Clarksburg needs to be remade. Beckley and Welch all need to be remade. Lewisburg as well. And my video on this kind of stuff down here at Brommel. Trying to think of those, because we covered that kind of stuff last time. So let's think about some other things that we can take a look at. Oh! That's one. It's, where is it? Sugar Grove. We did Sugar Grove last time as well, though. We went to Sugar Grove. Sorry, my eyes are itchy. I don't know if it's allergies or... I walked home yesterday from work. Again, still trying to get my car situation worked out. And it's 6.5 miles. And I got a little sunburned from it. And I'm worried right now that my glasses, though they're technically transition lenses, I'm not 100% sure that they're actually protecting my eyes from UV. Because, again, I've got a minor sunburn and my eyes are burning a little bit. So I'm a little worried that basically I was kind of just taking the full brunt of sunlight in my eyes yesterday. So I'm thinking I might get some just proper sunglasses and and hope that that doesn't happen again. Let's see. What else? It's kind of dark outside in the game right now. It's night, so I'm trying to think if there's anything indoors we could look at. I suppose I could create shorts for some of my more recent content, too. Stuff at the Rose Room, for example. For the Factions of Atlantic City. Hope you all have been having a good week. I'm trying to think if there's anything Bethesda news that we haven't yet covered. I mean, I feel like this is something we talked about last time, but if you haven't seen it, again, the PTS is up for the Burning Springs update. Walton Goggins is playing the Ghoul, so it'll be interesting to see how all that stuff works out. I've seen some screenshots of him in the game. I've even seen people talking about streaming the PTS, which, again, I thought was against the rules. I don't know. Maybe it's not the case anymore. Maybe it was just for that one update. I don't know. But regardless. Oh, I could remake my video on Huntersville That's one of my early ones. Of course, in this case, I'd actually like to go in and get some of the footage from Fallout 1 and 2, but it's one of those things where it's like, I would have to devote probably 30 to 40 hours just to get to the points in the game where you can actually record that footage, and I do not have it. Specifically the stuff I'm talking about when it comes to Huntersville, and because basically I used my video to talk about Huntersville to also talk about the PvP and the FEV. And again, you got to go pretty deep in to get into that kind of content, to where you're going to find the stories about the early experiments with FEV and what was done at Mariposa Military Base. But yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. If I do remake the Huntersville video, which I do think I need to do at some point, then I will go ahead and go through the effort of getting that extra stuff. Because it's one thing to be able to talk about it, and it's another thing to show the actual original lore on the screen while I'm doing so.
Somewhere you will pay, human. No more hiding for you.
Trying to think if there's any other news. I saw that, I think it was the Independent Elder Scrolls Wiki got to have a conversation with Bethesda about Elder Scrolls 6 and a, whoa. And a character that they're putting into the game. Kind of a Make-A-Wish thing, I think, where I think they put 80, no, I can't remember the exact amount. They put in an enormous amount of money. I think could have been $89,000 for something that number is popping into my head. Could have been more than that. Regardless, they get to create a character because they were the highest donor. And I think that's actually great that the wiki is getting to do that, because it's one of those things where it's like, they're the kind of people that are not going to put something that's absolutely off the wall stupid into the game. And I would hope that Bethesda would basically put some limits on it, be like, no. This is not going to be a character that's simply like dropped into the world from Fallout, like having like fallen through some portal and ended up in the Elder Scrolls universe or something like that. But at the same time, again, the fact that it is the wiki means that they're going to be lore sensitive and stuff like that. So it's all good there.
So poor.
Alright, yeah, so here is the crop laboratory where they were going to be producing basically amazing crops that would have fed the world in a time when the U.S. was facing food shortages. So, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but my general view on GMOs, which is exactly what they'd be doing here, is creating GMOs. I'm not afraid of GMOs in and of themselves. I am absolutely concerned about GMOs in terms of why they're creating them. So, for example, when they create glyphosate-resistant crops, because glyphosate being in an herbicide, is created to kill off plants, so they create a plant that is resistant to the herbicide, meaning that it kills only the plants that do not have the specific gene mutation that makes them safe against glyphosate. Well, it's a question of, is glyphosate safe for people? And I don't know. I mean, I legitimately don't know, but I would hazard to guess no. It's probably not a good thing to be eating a bunch of herbicide. And especially when you consider that they also use glyphosate to dry out crops at the very end of the growing process, because it seems to speed up the drying process for things like corn and stuff like that. It's like, I don't like the idea of them basically creating a bunch of herbicide-covered crops that they then ship to grocery stores. So, again, that's my concern with the creation of GMO crops, is not that I think that in eating one I'm just going to start growing tentacles out the side of my face. It's more so that if they've been creating it so that they can then spray something terrible on top of it and not kill the plant, that's what concerns me. Yeah. So again, I think that with something like FEV, if they could have gotten it to work properly, they very well could have created incredible crops that would have been incredibly like nutritious to the people who were starving, and would have grown in basically soil that was untenable for normal crops and stuff like that. So there definitely was a potential for these plants, but they don't seem to have reached it, or if they did, and this is the product of it, then effectively what we're seeing here is that a lot of the post-war crops were kind of invented by Westech within this laboratory, because we got, these are potatoes over here, which if you're unaware, potatoes are a combination of tomatoes and potatoes. They're not just potatoes. From Fallout 4, we know that they taste like ketchup spread on cardboard, so not the best. Yeah. No, yeah, that right there. That's the thing I'm concerned about most, is cancer risk that comes from things like glyphosate. And again, it's one of those things where the modern world is filled with so many different chemicals that it's hard to point down a specific one as maybe being the exact cause of it. But I would definitely say that if it's something that you're ingesting on a daily basis, then yeah, that's definitely something that enters the realm. And with the rising rates of colon cancer, I have to think that it's got to be something that you're eating. But again, if you're also living near farms where it's being sprayed, it's also potentially concerning. Let me take a look. I'll see if there's a date for the Burning Springs release. So yeah, again, common sense tells me that glyphosate is not good for you. But whether or not that's... okay, I've got from Gemini, which I will tell you right now that... Gemini is the AI that produces some of the craziest off-the-wall responses. Like, they're the ones that told you, put glue in the cheese on your pizza in order to make it more stringy. Gemini says that it is set to be released in December 2025, coinciding with the premiere of Fallout Season 2 on December 17th. So, again, it specifically is saying December, and it's saying the release of the season is on December 17th. It's not saying specifically here that those are the same thing, but I wouldn't be surprised to find out that it does release effectively on the same day or right around the release of Season 2. So we'll see. But so that old thing, correlation is not causation, you know. So it's one of those things you never know if like, what if it turns out to be the case? We learn hundreds of years from now. We don't, but descendants do. Oh, glyphosate's absolutely fine. In fact, it actually makes you healthier. But again, common sense says no. Detailed water quality report. Data read error. Water analysis. Water analysis for the field test site 3A Huntersville. The approved FEV strain has been introduced to the Huntersville water supply, while chlorine dioxide content has been reduced slightly to decrease its effectiveness at disinfecting the virus. No noticeable differences in the water quality should be discernible by the population. We predict infection to be widespread among the test subjects, but due to the nature of this strain, the results may appear slower than in the concentrated lab strains. Long-term physical attributes of the test subjects should greatly exceed the average human levels with none of the side effects of the previous lab trials. Dr. Elias Khan. No, I'm not currently collecting lore for a video, but as I was saying earlier, I am definitely... So currently on the Discord... Let me make sure. Let me see if there's anybody new there yet. Group lore investigation. Ah, there we are. Yes. So now I have Malcontent, Spooky Nikki, and ADHD Queen all interested in helping me to collect lore within Gleaming Depths. It's something you have to do with at least one other person, sometimes a group. But yeah, that's the current top priority. Well, actually, basically, I got two top priorities now. Because, again, the Milepost Zero content is going to disappear. And while I've not found it to be terribly interesting, it is something that the Blue Ridge Caravan Company is responsible for. And given that the other video I'm doing this month is on the Blue Ridge Caravan Company, in case they end up releasing this patch early, I don't expect them to, but if they do, I want to make sure that I record the content for Milepost Zero as soon as possible. Now, again, along with that, as I was saying earlier, I'm going to be re-releasing some of my earliest videos. I've already started rewriting the scripts in order to basically produce shorts as advertisements on TikTok and Instagram in coordination with my G Fuel sponsorship. So, In France, they banned Roundup and mini gluten. Yeah, no, that's what I've heard. I've heard that. I've also heard, and again, you never know. It's so hard to trust anything you read online. Again, sorry, my eyes itch again after walking home yesterday. I don't know if it's allergies or sun damage, but I've also heard people say that it's because of what's it called? The way we enrich flour here in the United States, which is something they don't do overseas. But basically, they add some additional vitamins and stuff like that they basically have to. It's kind of funny. Used to be that you'd get what you would need from the wheat, but we cut out all the wheat grain, all the wheat germ. I mean, so all we get left is the starch on the inside of the wheat. But if we basically just had whole wheat for everything, we wouldn't need to enrich the flour. But because we want to have our white bread with bologna and American cheese, we got to make sure that we enrich the wheat.
Got you! Here's something.
I've recently been buying some blocks of cheddar made in England, and I've been very happy with the quality of that cheese. America does actually have a pretty good cheese industry in some areas, specifically up in Wisconsin. But, yeah. And I will definitely say that American cheese is absolutely a guilty pleasure that I have enjoyed now and then. But there's a reason that it's a pasteurized cheese product, not cheese. Because it shares some qualities with cheese, but it is definitely not the same thing. I think my favorite thing about that is that the cheese industry tried to force the use of the term embalmed cheese to refer to American cheese. And I think it was the FDA, USDA, one of them was like, no. Look, we get it. You don't like the product, and it's technically not cheese, but we're not going to let you get that kind of leg up by literally calling your competition embalmed. Let's see here. I saw a post today that made me laugh, which was somebody that had a that said protein bar, and it's literally just a stick of Parmesan cheese that they'd cut off a wheel. It's like 8 inches long and about a half inch by an inch. Yeah, embalmed cheese sounds delicious, does it not? So yeah, I think I really actually very much enjoyed this West Tech facility here. Not only because we have the story that's related to Huntersville, but because we have the story that takes place in this area and here. Characters do I have? Do you mean like other people that are coming in to help with Gleaming Depths? Currently I have 3 other people that have shown interest. So, if you're talking about in Fallout 76, I actually don't know how many characters I have here. I think I've got the max number of characters. But the other interesting thing about the West Tech facility was they were literally creating brand new strains just to see what would happen. So, like, they were working with the FEV where it's just like, alright, we just created something we're going to call the Snallygaster. And this one we're going to call the Grafton Monster. Oh. Yeah, if you're not aware, the Grafton Monster and Snallygaster both originated from this lab. Although I believe the Snallygaster and Grafton Monster are both real-world cryptids, if you believe that they're a real thing. I have trouble believing in a lot of cryptids, simply because we live in an age where camera quality is as good as it is, and they are as ubiquitous as they are, so it's hard to imagine that there's a world in which cryptids exist that we don't have pictures of them. So, good to see you, not Darwin. Is there a reason in-game why we automatically know the name of the NPCs? I think that they put that off to the Pip-Boy, which it's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of a convenience of being in-game, where it's like, how exactly would the Pip-Boy know the exact contents of what I'm carrying unless I went in there and manually changed all those things? No idea. So again, it's just one of those things where it's like, one of the magics of the Pip-Boy. In the same way that, I mean, we can use VATs, you know? Oh. And I think it's really more so than anything, it's kind of a holdover from the old CRPG days where you do turn-based combat and choose specific enemies that you'd be fighting. I don't know. That's the only reason. That's the only reasoning I can put up for that. So. But the other, like, so yeah, this West Tech facility again, creating entirely new creatures, poisoning the local water supply with FEV to create a brand new form of super mutant, basically, and they got the giant vats of FEV, so it was perfectly situated for the super mutants to come in and start dipping people to make more super mutants. And of course, if you're not aware, the vats here were actually made inactive right after the bombs, which leads me to believe, as I've said in my video on the Enclave, that they actually came back in and reactivated the vats of FEV using FEV that they had within the West Tech bunker. Hey, Prince Julius, good to see you. Yeah, stuff in the vats as well. And also, there's a story somewhere in here about a guy that fell into the vat while wearing a hazmat suit and, like, was just kind of catatonic afterwards, if I'm remembering correctly. Technician's log from June 16th, 2077. Not much to report today. The FEV tanks are starting to spring leaks where the feeder lines are connected, but it shouldn't take more than a day or two to swap out the O-rings. It's messy work, but lucky Spielman drew the short straw. And he'll have to stand ankle deep in the sludge until we get it properly cleaned up. This FEV is volatile stuff. It degrades the vulcanized rubber on those seals like it was an acid. Strangely, there's no acidic content to it at all. It must have been affected by the affected the O-rings on the molecular level. Kind of makes me wonder if it's safe having it pooling up on the floor. Yeah, I wouldn't think so. August 2nd, 2077. Chadwell fell into one of the tanks today, poor bastard. He was wearing full biohazard gear, but he was most certainly dead when they pulled him out. The suit must have been breached on the way in or something, because he never even came up for air or called for help. They didn't know he'd fallen in until they drained the tank. Okay, yeah, sorry, I thought they were catatonic. Right here. He's cut future content involving an enclave called the Drifter. Interesting. Yeah, because I don't think we've encountered that yet, so that would definitely be interesting to see that. No, another deeper secret lab? God. I'm sorry, that's the problem when you've got a set world size. And I'm glad, again, why I'm glad they're expanding to Ohio. Because otherwise it's like, guys, there's another layer, deeper. It's like, can we just do some new stuff? Man, that twisted look on Chadwell's face, ugh, is giving me the creeps just thinking about it. Thank God West Tech's giving us hazard pay bonus, otherwise I'd be out of here. I don't know if I would take a hazard bonus to work with FEV. October 23rd, 2077. Holy crap, everything's gone to hell. I can't believe those idiots actually did it. They blew up the damn world. Luckily, we were inside the facility when the bombs hit. Supervisor Bardwell begged us to stay with the FEV tanks until he checked out with the top brass, but all the communication lines are down. Spielman and I are thinking of bolting, but I guess we'll have to... we'll give Bardwell a day to figure out what to do. It's not like I have a home to go back to anyway. This is not the decontamination area. That's a different area. I just remember that. And October 30th. But this does detail the fact that they turned the vats off. Want to see under Rapidan camp? Yeah, 100%. Bardwell decided to head out and make contact with the U.S. Army in Huntersville, but that was 6 days ago and he hasn't come back. He told us if everything went south to dump the neutralizing agent at the FEV tanks. Spielman and I followed the order and made sure that the job was done before we abandoned West Tech. We confirmed that the liquid tank in the tanks was neutralized, still highly toxic, but at least the FEV was gone. Again, this is why I think that the Enclave came back in and reactivated the vats using FEV that they had within their own facility. Can do a whole vault under West Tech. Go even deeper. Yes. Well, that's it for us. I'm going to stick with Spielman for a while, and hopefully we can make it somewhere safe, wherever that might be. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the decontamination section. Actually, did I miss? I don't know. I didn't see Mischief Knight pop up. It's now 9 minutes after the hour, so it's entirely possible that it popped up and disappeared and I just didn't see it. I apologize if that's the case. And if so, I'm sorry, but we're not waiting. Another 51 minutes for it to pop up again. But, again, if you're looking for me to be on a longer stream, as I was mentioning earlier, with the whole thing with the G Fuel stuff is that I'm pretty sure this is the case, that I'm going to be sponsored for, basically in a way they're going to give me a couple of tubs of the Nuka-Cola flavor to give out. And so I'm going to be doing a 3-hour stream on Fallout Day, October 23rd, that's a Thursday. And I'm going to be giving out the tubs then. So basically I'm going to create a channel on the Discord where you can put your name in for consideration, and basically I'll use a random number generator and it will pick out 2 people to get tubs. I think it's 2, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3. Regardless, if you're looking for a longer stream and something to do on Fallout Day, that's what I'm going to be looking to do there. When bad stuff happens shortly after people left in any directions. Yeah. Because, yep. In fact, that's basically what I said in my Enclave lore video, was that entirely the reason they reactivated the Vatseer was in order to cause the super mutants to drive the DEFCON level up towards 1. Alright, Technician's Log from May 3rd, 2077. Bardwell's all over my ass about getting the decontamination arches up and running. How the hell am I supposed to come up with a decontamination method for something that's entirely experimental? We could have just kept reading, but he would have just kept shooting, and it would have just kept on the noise and the blood. So, to make matters worse, Westtech HQ refuses to give me the FEV's chemical and organic breakdown, so I'm totally shooting in the dark. My degree in biochemistry never prepared me for this. But I should have known things would be different around here when I had to get high-level clearance just to walk into the floor. I don't know if you know, but you can hold tab to immediately exit out of terminals. Let's see. Yeah, okay, thank you. I don't think I've ever done that before. I probably have, but accidentally. 3 weeks and about 60 compounds later, I've still got nothing. This FEV is some tenacious stuff. I know that FEV is virus-based, so I've approached it from that angle. Unfortunately, every antibiotic compound known to man isn't designed to handle something this, well, virulent. What I need to come up with is some sort of booster, a total and neutralizing agent that will render the FEV inert. Back to the drawing board. This is June 11th. Picture this, Bardwell standing there with his biohazard suit yelling at me to get my ass moving on the decontamination arches. Worth sneaks up right behind him and dumps a canister of FEV right over his head. You should have seen his face. He freaked the hell out. He was screaming, rolling around on the floor. Hell, I think he was crying. I let it go on for almost a full minute before I activated the arches and let my neutralizing agent wash him off. Worked like a charm. I'm on crap detail for the next 2 weeks for doing that to him, but it was totally worth it. And from June 16th. Bardwell's still pissed about my demonstration, but at least he's quit shouting at me. I've spent the last few days culturing thousands of gallons of my neutralizing agent, not only for use in the decontamination arches, but for the emergency dump tanks. Apparently the folks back at Westtech HQ want a ripcord just in case something is in this place is in danger of being captured or something. If you ask me, they're being paranoid, but I just do as I'm told, like a nice little robot. Bacteria doesn't kill viruses? No, yeah. Again, FEV is a virus. He goes in here and tries to use antibiotics. I don't really know why. I guess if he is considering virus to be a biotic, but I don't think that viruses are a biotic, because bio implies life, and viruses, if you're not aware, are not technically alive, because they have to be within another living thing in order to properly operate. So, yeah. That's why if you go to the doctor and you've got the flu, if you go to the doctor and you've got the flu, they don't give you antibiotics. They're only going to give you antibiotics if you've developed pneumonia from having the flu. Because pneumonia, well, sometimes it's fungal, but a lot of the times it's bacterial. And it can come from having had a respiratory infection that basically causes a mucus buildup. But yeah, by itself, the flu, being a virus, is not something that's affected by antibiotics. So you have to have an antiviral, which are far less common than antibiotics. So yeah. So yeah, whatever it is that they created here is entirely the reason why the vats could be sterilized, so that they didn't have to worry about the plant being captured. And at the end of the day, I think it would be very stupid not to have a neutralizing agent for this stuff to begin with. I mean, when you go right down to it, we've got another story exactly like this at, what's it called? Abraxo Chemical. within Pittsburgh where they were working on this product. And I think it's something like for every gallon of the product they produced 2 gallons of waste product. And they didn't have a neutralizing agent for that waste product. And so it just kept building up and building up and building up and eventually created that massive chasm they call the trench. That's why that trench is there. If you haven't watched my video on the factions of the pit. The trench section of Pittsburgh was created by the release of a cleaning chemical that they had no compound capable of what was it called? Neutralizing it. So, but again, that's exactly why they needed to have it for the FEV, regardless of whether or not they're worried about this place being captured and someone stealing the FEV. They need to make sure that they've got a way to destroy it. FEV is a fun concept. And at the end of the day, it is basically open to almost endless narrative possibilities, because if you've got a virus that can literally turn a person into a snallygaster, like, there's almost nothing you can't do with that. There's a reason why Dr. Blackburn was trying to work with it to turn it back to its original form, where it was supposed to be basically making everybody immune to the terrors of the wasteland. And if he had managed to do that, yeah, he would have been a hero. Of course, it's one of those things where it's unlikely he would have been called as such with a number of people that died in order to make that happen. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, in retrospect, hundreds of years from then, hero. But at the time, almost nobody would have called him that, and for good reason. It can also give you psychic powers, yeah. Again, wide open narrative possibilities here. We are coming here specifically to see a snallygaster. Because there are always snallygasters hanging out in the ruins. I mean... Okay, there we go. Look at all the eyes.
I'm hearing stuff.
God, they're so disgusting. Yeah, it's one of those weird parts of scientific history where we are absolutely grateful that there are people in history that have done horrible things in order to increase our knowledge of subjects. But it's one of those things where it's like, given the chance, no, you would not repeat any of the experiments that these people did. Like, we learned a bunch from things like vivisections, which, if you're unaware of what that is, that's dissection while the creature is still alive. It is a horrific practice. But again, it's one of those things where if they had not done it, we would not have learned a lot of things that we know about the body. Because, believe it or not, the body doesn't act the same way when it's dead that it does when it's alive. Never something that I would ever want to do to anybody, and do not condone it. Right. Didn't mind dissection and gross anatomy, but oh my god, yeah. I actually, I remember the last thing I dissected as a student was a fetal pig, and that was senior year? Yeah. Junior or senior year of high school. It's pretty good at it. Once the animal's dead, I have less of a, and especially when it's something like, the fetal pig, where it was never actually up and about, running around. A fear of eyes. Isn't that what that is? The one that I never would want to do is one that I know my wife had to do for one of her courses when she was becoming a nurse. Which was, they had to dissect a cat. Which, especially, oh, fear of holes. Okay, yeah. I think I've heard that before. Ah, okay. Well, regardless, both of those I've heard of. I've heard of both of those things being fears. And like the eye one is obviously like a very understandable one. The whole one is like a little bit more esoteric, but again, it's one of those things where everyone's got their own fears of things. There we go. There's another member of the field of creations from West Tech. The Grafton Monster.
This is
Oh,
a
man.
Level 2 nuclear alert. Repeat, this is a Level 2 nuclear alert. The Sidon Energy Plant WV-06 has suffered a critical failure. Hazmat teams are en route. Please remain indoors and await further instructions.
I'm going to have to check the settings on that to see. I almost could have sworn that I saw something recently related to those announcements. Whether or not you get some sort of ability to turn those things off, but I would love the ability to turn those things off, especially because I can't tell you the number of times I've been filming in a location, and one of those things just starts blaring, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I was about 14 seconds into this shot, so I've got to stop the shooting, wait for the announcement to stop, and then pick it up again. There are so many different fun names for all those different fears. Alright, well, I think I'm going to close things out here. But again, I'm going to remind you all of exactly what we got coming up. So again, working on the Gleaming Depths video. If you're interested in taking part in the lore collection there, I'm going to need assistance in getting into the actual Gleaming Depths area. I've done a little bit of it, but not an enormous amount. So basically, if you're interested, go to the Discord. There's a channel there called Group Lore Investigation. So yeah. Oh yeah. Well, keep in mind we're doing this on the Fallout world, so everyone's carried by the game as it is. So effectively, the only thing that is actually limiting there is that you still have, like, everything dies easier, and you almost never die. But at the same time, you do still have to shoot everything. It's not like the things just fall over on their own. So my typical experience is constantly reloading all the time because I'm running out of ammunition. Not running out of ammunition even. I think I've got infinite ammunition. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's still, when you have waves and waves and waves of enemies, you still have to reload your gun constantly. Especially when it's this thing and it's only got 20 rounds in it, and it still takes 4 or 5 rounds to kill everything. 3 to 5. Yeah, it's still definitely an issue. But again, I simply need to have people there so that the events can actually progress properly, so that I can then get to the next section and collect more lore. And so that's, we're going to try to set up a time we can do that once we have people's availability, and I think we're getting closer and closer on that. Potentially sometime this weekend, maybe sometime early next week, we'll see. Probably in the evening at some point. We'll figure that out. Oh, it's actually not terribly difficult. I will say that there is a minor spot with the first fight where basically the bot starts heating up the room dramatically, and you have to run into a shelter. And I definitely died the first time around with that. But other than that, and again, I've only experienced the first 2 fights, and I didn't get through the second fight because I needed another person there. But yeah, so that's what's going on there. Along with that, again, I'm going to be collecting some lore on Blue Ridge Caravan Company for the second part of that video. And again, I'm working on remaking old videos for the purposes of both remaking them and producing shorts to lure people into the channel on places like TikTok and Instagram, and YouTube is also where I'll post the shorts as well. Along with that, again, one last thing is to keep in mind that I'm going to be doing a stream on Fallout Day. That's October 23rd, 3 hours in the evening. It's a Thursday, so probably what I'll end up doing is I probably won't stream on the 24th, which is normally when I would. And instead we'll just do 3 hours the day before. So again, you'll be able to, again, assuming everything goes through with all this stuff, I need to make sure I got all the details nailed down. You should be able to win a couple of tubs of, well, I'll be able to give away at least a couple, maybe 3 tubs of the Nuka-Cola flavor for G Fuel. So I hope you all have a good weekend. And hopefully next week I will be done with my car and I won't have to talk about that to y'all anymore. And I can focus more of my time on making videos and less of it on auto repair. So I hope you all have a good weekend. It's been great to hang out with y'all and great to talk to everybody. And I hope to see some of y'all collecting lore in the Gleaming Depths. This has been, and yeah, so just have a good weekend, y'all.